McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. Fun, insightful interviews from a washed-up producer with nothing to lose. McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. Here comes McKnight Tonight.
Welcome to McKnight Tonight. Here's Rob McKnight.
Hello and welcome to McKnight Tonight. It is Monday, the 8th of June, 2026. And if you're watching us from New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Tasmania, the ACT or the Northern Territory, happy King's Birthday long weekend. Here in Queensland and over in Western Australia, as they always do, they march to their own beat of their own drum. Queensland won't mark the day until the 5th of October, and most of WA won't until the 28th of September. And I'll be talking about that in Rob's Rant tonight, so stay with us. But I have just received the coolest thing. Radio Notes podcast has sent me a birthday box. I think we can see it on camera. Oh, there it is on camera one. It has sent me a birthday box, and I started to go through it, and I went, no, save it for on air. Now, my birthday is this coming weekend, and I'm not saying he's my favourite because he sent me a care package. Somehow got my address. But he gave me a Doctor Who card with very lovely message inside. But there's all this cool Doctor Who stuff. The Dalek Omnibus. The Big Issue talking about Ncuti Gatwa. I think it's bed sheet. Is this a double bed? Oh, Manda, you're lucky because we've got a queen size bed, but maybe I'll put it on one of the kids' beds and sleep in there for a bit.
Oh my goodness.
But oh my God, there's all this cool stuff. Is this a CD? Yeah, it is a CD. I used to have a bag full of Doctor Who books. Oh, VHS of An Unearthly Child. That's the very first Doctor Who episode. Series 2, The Daleks. Oh my goodness. Doctor Who figurines, Lego figurines. Oh, some Haig's chocolate, as you do. This just keeps going on and on and on.
Best birthday ever.
Oh, a TARDIS tea infusion, Amanda. He knows us. I'm sorry, I know this is indulgent, but wowzers. From my studio shed to your studio garage. Am I allowed to show? I'm going to assume I can show it. Because Radio Notes podcast, so fabulous. Can be screened within the Spotify app. Oh, okay. So go to the Radio Notes podcast on Spotify. I'm happy to give a plug. Oh my goodness. I have to stop. We have to get on with the show. A Doctor Who apron! Now, is it Pertwee or Capaldi? I think that's Capaldi. Oh my goodness. Oh, this is... And more books. All right. I think I've got this one. The old Doctor Who annuals used to come through all the time. Oh, yes, I did. You said that would happen. You said that would happen one day. Oh, I tried to have the mugs there. All the... Oh, okay. In true McKnight Tonight style, it has turned into a disaster. So, Amanda's not happy because she told me so. There we go. All right. Wowzers. Radio Notes podcast. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Look, you can take part in the show by subscribing to youtube.com.au. No, youtube.com/@McKnight Tonight. I don't know where I'm going now. I'm a bit overwhelmed. Go there, subscribe. Don't forget, as you watch each episode of McKnight Tonight, make sure you like the live shows as well. That helps get us into other people's feeds. And making comments also helps us. So have your say, share your thoughts, and help us out. All right. We've wasted enough time. Let's get into it. Tonight, a powerful 60-minute story is calling for a public register of people placed on AVOs. We'll go through it. Victorian Premier Jacinta Allan hits back at Billboards calling her a witch. Is it sexism or just politics? And one of Australia's most fearless commentators joins me for a wide-ranging interview. Andrew Bolt is here. Lots to cover tonight. Stay with us. Let's get into it. A compelling story on 60 Minutes last night has called for people placed on AVOs to be included in a public register. The story focused on Maria, who had been stalked by former boyfriend Anthony Monteleone.
On May 8, 2024, Anthony Monteleone was ready to kill. At 9:58 a.m, CCTV shows Maria's car entering the car park to this gym in Sydney's inner west. Not long after, Monteleone's hatchback follows. He parks and waits 40 minutes for his victim.
And I was walking towards the car park, and as I was walking towards my car, he ambushed me.
Security cameras capture the moment Monteleone pounced.
He tackled me down, he pulled my hair, and all I could feel was bang, bang, bang. And then he was just stabbing me.
Do you know how many times you stabbed her?
No.
Do you know how long you were doing it for?
No. It went that fast and that quick.
For 25 agonising seconds, Maria fought with everything she had to survive.
I remember I screamed. And that scream for weeks, months, was just ringing in my ear. It just was not a normal scream. It was a scream like, this man's going to kill me.
Monteleone stabbed her repeatedly in the face, chest and neck. Remarkably, Maria managed to stagger away, wounded but alive.
It's horrific stuff. What's worse is that Monteleone had only just recently broken an AVO placed against him by Maria. Let's go back a bit earlier in the story to see what happened.
Feeling increasingly panicked, Maria took out an apprehended domestic violence order.
Does that make you feel safe?
No, it didn't, because he breached it right away. So as soon as the AVO was placed, it was every day, non-stop. Every day. There was not one day that he didn't stop.
But as if Anthony Monteleone's menacing behaviour, the messages and phone calls, weren't frightening enough, it was about to get worse. Knowing she needed help, Maria got into her car to go to the police station and report him for ignoring the AVO. But as she was driving, she looked in the rearview mirror. Imagine her shock. Monteleone was staring straight back at her. He was following her.
And I just screamed. Like, screamed. It was the most scariest thing, just seeing him behind me.
What was he doing?
He was just staring, like, just driving like that and staring. I was scared. I was so scared. So I called the police.
What did they say?
They said, turn back home, because all I could think of was my children.
And he followed you home?
He followed me home. And then he got there, and then he started chasing me down the street. He was really fast. And then, thank goodness, my friend come at the nick of time and chased him away.
You came so close.
So close.
That night, Anthony Monteleone was arrested and charged with 2 counts of breaching his AVO. He faced court the very next morning, where he pleaded guilty, but in one fateful decision was allowed to walk free.
Well, I had a phone call from a social worker and said, get your stuff and just go.
So he was arrested for 2 counts of breaching his AVO, pled guilty, and was allowed out. That is how ridiculous our justice system is. And just when you think you've heard it all when it comes to Maria's story, this part contains a shocking twist.
In late 2024, a suite of tough new laws was introduced. The sentences for successive breaches of apprehended violence orders were increased from 2 to 5 years in jail. But former magistrate David Hailpern has reviewed the numbers and says 18 months on, punishments haven't changed.
Were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised, but I was extremely disappointed.
It makes you wonder why these tough new laws come in, if they're not going to be used.
It's an easy political trick. It sounds great, but unless there's follow-through, well, it's just meaningless.
It's awful to think just how badly the system failed Maria, and that nothing has changed since her violent attack. But one of the greatest insults is that she wasn't Anthony Monteleone's first victim. In a strikingly similar case, 7 years before he tried to kill Maria, Monteleone had another AVO taken out against him and was convicted of stalking another woman. It's critical information. Maria says she should have known.
Now, the New South Wales government, as Dimity Clancy said, has come out and increased it from 2 to 5 years in jail for breaching AVOs. Now, I need to double check this, but I'm going to assume that's the maximum sentence. And any time politicians increase maximum sentencing, it does nothing. It's minimum sentencing that needs to be increased. Judges very rarely go to the maximum. And so we are letting everyone down in any law, not just AVOs, but any law when politicians say, we're getting tough, we're increasing the maximum sentence. It does stuff all. Now, regarding a register, I like this idea. I like the idea that you can go and see and search if someone you're getting into a relationship with has had an AVO placed against them. And then if they've broken that AVO, that's the key here, because it's almost like anyone can get an AVO placed against them. And I think that's a secondary thing here, that we need that database to say who misuses the AVO process. If you apply for an AVO and there's actually nothing to, that person hasn't done anything, well, they're being tarred with the AVO brush and they have to try and fight it. And there are people who misuse AVOs. But we also have people like Maria who have depended on it to the point where a social worker says to her, get out of the house. He's been released. Get out of the house. Essentially run. What is that saying about our court system when social workers are telling a victim to run because the aggressor has been let out? And as we know, as we saw in these clips, actually tried to kill her. Not once, but twice. There's no doubt in my mind that first time he got chased off, his intentions were not good. And we have to wait until he stabbed her and almost killed her before something happens. Our court systems are a joke. I love the idea of a register. The best place to watch McKnight Tonight is on YouTube. Help us monetize the show by going to youtube.com/@McKnight Tonight. And you can always become a paid member. That gives you exclusive live streams and early access to videos. Just go to youtube.com/@McKnight Tonight.
Here comes McKnight Tonight.
And it's also a good place to leave a comment. Just go to youtube.com/@McKnight Tonight. youtube.com/@McKnight Tonight. Would love your thoughts on that one. And also this one. Is the term ditch the witch sexist? Victorian Premier Jacinta Allan seems to think so after a series of billboards were driven around the Melbourne CBD on Friday night. The Herald Sun reports 3 billboards depicting the Premier as a witch had commentary attached about community safety and government mismanagement. Allan has hid out of the billboards, posting on social media saying, "Sexism just has no place in our political debate, full stop." A billboard truck using sexist language has been driven around Melbourne as part of a secret and well-funded political campaign. People are entitled to disagree with me. That's democracy. But I care that this attacks women, and I care about who's next. Later in the post, she finished by saying, "Sexism hurts everyone. If the media won't call it out, I will." Prime Minister Anthony Albanese and former PM Julia Gillard have also called out the billboards. You might remember the same phrase was used against Gillard when she was the leader of the country. But it's not just Labor calling it out. Liberal Senator Jane Hume and Victorian opposition leader Jess Wilson have also labelled the billboard sexist. But Pauline Hanson, well, she's having none of it. And she told Allan it's all part of politics.
Suck it up, sweetheart. Right? If you've seen what's happened to me over the years, I remember years ago Tim Fisher called me a witch and I should be burnt at the stake. So I've been tagged that long before you. So anyway, it's just toughen up. And besides, Jacinta, I'll tell you something. I've heard on the grapevine you won't be there in a couple of weeks' time. I think they're ready to move you on.
Wowzers, suck it up, sweetheart, is what she said at the beginning of that clip. Ditch the witch. Here's my question. I'm a guy. I'm 50, almost 53. Is it sexist? When I see ditch the witch, yeah, they're having a go at her, comparing her to a witch, but why is that suddenly sexist? As Pauline Hanson said, she copped it in the past. So why is it now a sexist term? Or is it because anytime we have a go at a woman, it's sexist, even if it's from another woman? Now, the presumption with these billboards is that they're from men. So it automatically becomes a sexist term, and maybe they are from men. But is it sexist? This is the part I don't understand. And what is also galling is when people on the left say, don't attack us on our looks or our gender, but they do exactly the same. Think about all the references to Mr. Potato Head with Peter Dutton. And in the US, the left constantly has a go at Kash Patel about his eyes. So we've got a group of people. It always confuses me because the left, my view is always that they're supposed to be tree huggers and, you know, lovey-doveys and lovely to everyone, but that's just not true. And they don't hold themselves to the same standard as they hold to their political opponents. Personally, I don't see ditch the witch as a sexist term. But I'm not a female, so it's not for me to judge. But if you apply that standard to any kind of derogative comment that's made about a female politician, then where does it leave you? What can you say? Can you call them an idiot? Or is that a put down of a woman? What is the line? I don't think we quite know, but I think it's an easy get out of jail free card when you deplore this as sexism. Politics is tough. And there was a moment in federal politics a couple of months ago where someone on the opposition, there was a female Labor minister in, and someone on the opposition said a comment like, "I will do you." Well, do you want to retract that? You know, because we can't say that in politics. It's like, I'm going to do, remember Paul Keating said, "I'm going to do you slowly." Well, today, if he said that to a woman, it would be hell to pay. But it shouldn't be. Equal rights means equality for everything. The same insults that can be thrown at me should be able to be thrown at you. That's true equality. You can show your support for the show by buying me a coffee. Just go to buymeacoffee.com/McKnight Tonight. Every bit helps keep this show from our garage going.
Here comes McKnight Tonight.
Well, Amanda just pulled me up. She said, no, she draws the line at "I'll do you slowly." But in politics, the way that was used was in relation to, I'm going to tear apart your argument. I've got the evidence. I've got the receipts, and I'm going to make you suffer. That's a political term that's been used forever and a day, not just against women, but against men as well. And I'm too scared to look behind me. Are the cups there after that accident at the top of the show?
Most of them.
Oh, hang on. We used to have 5. Oh, no. The back end quickie has broken.
Oh, no.
The one Jasmine gave. Oh, no. It's all right, though. Looks, I think we can sort of get away with that. Could have been worse. Could have been worse. Hey, let's have a rant. Now, as you know, most states celebrated the King's birthday public holiday today, and a lot of Australians were given King's birthday honours. They got awarded with a whole range of different things with the different awards. But Queensland and WA don't commemorate the King's birthday today. Queensland is doing it on the 5th of October and WA on the 28th. Talk about stupid. I just wish once here in Queensland we could just do things the same as the rest of the nation. We refuse to do daylight saving. We refuse to do the King's birthday. It's almost like we're just going to be different for the sake of being different. In fact, we up here, we have a holiday in Brisbane for the Ekka, and then you have another one down here that's a different day to that for Gold Coast Day, and then different regions all make up for it with their own day for their region. I mean, it's literally, we just can't do anything together as one group. And the thing that makes this laughable and why the King's birthday should be one national day is because when we celebrate it on the 5th of October here in Queensland, no one's getting a King's birthday honour. We do it on this day that the rest of Australia are doing it. So it makes no sense. Can our politicians please just forget the reasons why it was moved? And I think it had something to do with there was a Labor Day and then the Libs came in and didn't want a Labor Day and all those kind of things. Like it's so messy, it's not funny. Can we just push all that aside and go, you know what? When we're waking up and the Southern papers, Sunrise, the Today Show, are all talking about the King's birthday honours, we're here going, but it's not the King's birthday. And I know it's not the King's actual birthday, but this is the day we celebrate it. But why can't we just join up and unite? There's no such thing as a united Australia. We can't even celebrate the King's birthday, our head of state, on the same day. Oh my God, that's Rob's rant. I'm going to get to your feedback in just a moment as we beam live around the country. And Andrew Bolt will be joining us. And after Andrew, yes, we will have time for a back-end quickie. I don't know if it'll be video or some dad jokes yet. Haven't made up my mind which one I'm going to do, Amanda. We'll just see. Prepping ahead. If I haven't prepped ahead, it's probably going to be jokes. But we'll see if we've got a video in the can. I'll get to all that and plenty more right after our random live shot of the day.
It's the random live shot of the day. Where are you going today? You never know where you'll end up with the random live shot of the day.
And tonight, it's our random live shot of the day, and we're heading to the United States, Nashville, Tennessee. This is Lower Broadway, the heart of downtown Nashville. Neon lights, honky-tonks, live music spilling out onto the street. Hey, did you know Elvis Presley recorded more than 200 songs at Nashville's historic RCA Studio B, and there is still a string of Christmas lights on display that were hung when Elvis couldn't get into the spirit while recording a Christmas album. It's actually the early hours of Monday morning right now, around 5:24 in the morning, and it's set to be a cloudy day with a temperature range of 22 to 28 degrees. Beautiful sight as we come up over Nashville. Look at that. Beautiful. Let's take a look at some feedback that's coming through to McKnight Tonight. We've got this one from Matthew who says, "Good on you, Radio Notes podcast. I was going to post the ditch the witch would be ageist, not sexist." Interesting point. We've got this one from Jeanette. "You broke the glass." I did. I broke that. We've got this one from Own You're Crazy. "Amanda McKnight was right." We don't ever say that. Thank you, Own You're Crazy. Matthew says, "I worry people have an AVO on them would get on a list and have their life stuffed up." There's a truth to that, but it's called accountability, Matthew. And if you are, I think for me, it's more breaking AVOs that I would be more interested in a register. People who break AVOs, we talked about the weaponization of AVOs and how they have been used as weapons against people. So I'm more interested personally in a register where people have broken their AVOs. That is where things get dangerous. We've got this one from Hoggy, who says there are women that use the AVO system as a weapon. Yes, thank you. We're on the same page on that one. Jeanette says they are not worth the writing on the piece of paper. Yeah, because they don't hold up, as we see many, many times. We've got this one from Own You're Crazy. In regards to ditch the witch, it's not a turn of phrase one would use in relation to a man. No, it's not. I agree. It is female specific, but is it sexist? That's the question. Got this one from Maria. Hello, Maria. "Yes, the billboard is sexist, but old tropes are clever." I agree with Pauline on this one. Tough it up and formulate a clever reply. Good on you, Maria. Thank you for taking part. Got this one from Vicky Loves Tweety. "Is there an AVO register for ladies so a man can look up?" The AVO register that they talked about on 60 Minutes last night would be for everyone, not just male or female. So yes, you could look up a female if you wanted to. Own You're Crazy says, "I know someone who is possibly still having to maintain a low profile, even online, to spare herself from an abusive ex. And that is a major problem because the law doesn't protect people." Lynn McKnight, "Oh, mum's out" on the Facebook. "Far out, you were in the public with the job, take the heat. It is not sexist." Geez, I wonder where I get it from. Got this one from Clintos is the bestos. Jacinta Allan and Pauline Hanson in the one segment. Which do you ditch? Okay, good on you, Clintos is the bestos. Appreciate that. That is your feedback. Keep it coming through at youtube.com/@McKnight Tonight. I will have more of your feedback right after our feature interview.
McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. Here comes McKnight Tonight.
Well, there were some extraordinary scenes on Sky News Australia last week when Andrew Bolt was interviewing Barnaby Joyce. I'm sure you've seen this. It's been on all the news websites. When asked about houses owned by immigrants, Joyce gave his answer, but then asked to re-record it to give a different answer. Now, Bolt played both versions and explained to the audience what happened. In a moment, Andrew Bolt will join me to talk about that and a whole lot more. But first, it's worth going back and looking at the exchange.
A permanent resident under One Nation would not be allowed to buy their own home here.
Well, you know, the issue is that we have to work out how we have the housing stock for people who are. We're concerning ourselves with people who are.
No, I've got the problem. I'm just, Barnaby, I'm totally with, I'm understanding all that. I'm just wondering, does it apply to permanent residents as well?
Well, it does. That's my belief in the policy. Right. It does, and we want to make sure that you become a permanent resident. You know, become a permanent resident and become an Australian citizen. Excuse me. become an Australian citizen, and that's going to deal with the issue, isn't it? Become an Australian citizen.
Okay, that was the interview, and I said goodbye to Barnaby, and Barnaby sat there, and he must have thought as I did, given that there are nearly 400,000 permanent residents in Australia who own their own home, it seemed to be drastic or cruel to make them sell it in 2 years or become citizens, and if they didn't, they'd be repossessed. And after that interview, with Barnaby, something extraordinary happened. He must have figured, well, he actually had no idea what Pauline Hanson's policy on foreign ownership of homes really was, and must have realised maybe this was going a bit harsh. So with our cameras still on him, he rang 2 people back at the office, and one said no, the policy actually didn't affect permanent residents, and the second, more senior, said it did. And Barnaby left the studio. Minutes later, he came back and said, actually, there was now a change of policy. Could he record a new answer? And I agreed. Here it is. Okay, Barnaby, you have a change of policy.
Well, I believe, obviously, in clarity of exactly what was there, this policy is formative, but on further investigation and discussions with One Nation, no, we are not going to be kicking permanent residents out of their house. This policy, as it progresses on, we have to absolutely make certain that there's no unnecessary fallout of it. The concept is quite clear. It is that we want people to progress through to Australian citizenship, and but that should not come at the expense of permanent residents being divested of their house. It was an issue that needed further clarity. I've got it, and that's it.
So who does it apply to?
Well, obviously it applies to people who are foreign citizens who are basically not permanent residents, and there's your line.
The interview was described as a train wreck by some commentators. For his take, I'm very pleased to say I'm joined by Andrew Bolt. Andrew, welcome to McKnight Tonight.
Pleasure to see you, Rob.
Now, look, immediately after that clip, you made the very valid point that you were honest with your audience in that you didn't edit the interview, you didn't edit that answer in, you showed both to the audience. So are you surprised by the reaction to that interview?
No, I'm not surprised by it. I mean, we knew that there'd be a fuss like that. I mean, I didn't want to do the dirty on Barnaby. I think he kind of hoped that I would just edit it in so no one would know, but I didn't think that'd be fair. No. And the poor bugger, as soon as I said, you have a change of policy, Barnaby knew that it wouldn't go that way. And, well, you could see he was not a happy camper. Poor bugger.
Do you know what, though? I admire the fact he's done an interview, he's answered the question, and then he's gone, this doesn't feel right. What other politician does that? He then starts making some calls, and whether they did change the policy, isn't that a good thing? But we're in a world where we're always after the gotcha moment. I think you handled it absolutely right. You were honest with the audience, but I also give him credit for actually taking the bull by the horns and saying, hang on, something's not right with what we've got here.
Oh, Rob, you would know. I mean, you've seen a million politicians in your time absolutely bullshitting the audience, about policies. They've got no idea, right? They got no idea, and they won't answer the question. There's a million ways they won't answer, won't give you a straight answer. There are very few that say, oh, I honestly don't know. I will find out, That's not in my bailiwick. That is someone else's responsibility, or they'll talk about something else completely. So, yes, I do give them credit for that. I mean, how many Labor politicians would actually know every policy that they've got in the book?
Exactly. I agree with that. Look, the media get very caught up in moments like this. Do you think voters pay that much attention to these things?
Well, I think some do, but honestly, it's such a thing for me. I always think about walking down Elizabeth Street in Melbourne and looking at the huge variety of people on the street, thinking, how many of them know even the name of the Prime Minister? And then you've got to say, how many of them know the policies? How many of them know the news of the day? How many of them, because we're in the moment, right? What happened an hour ago? How many of them know that? And very few know, very few care. And when you have a look at the One Nation audience, if I showed them the clip of Barnaby doing that, they wouldn't give two hoots. They would not give two hoots. It doesn't go to what they're really agitated about. So I think it was, amusing to watch. It was a sign that they are not prepared for government. But I think most One Nation voters don't care. At least they think One Nation will try for what they want tried, whereas Labor is very, very efficient in doing exactly what they don't want.
Speaking of One Nation, as we are, we've seen today One Nation take over Labor for the first time in news poll history. In primary vote, One Nation sits on 31, Labor on 30. The coalition has major problems on 18%. Do you think these polls will reflect voting in a federal election? And even tonight in Victoria, the Herald Sun is reporting that One Nation is ahead of Labor there.
Unbelievable, isn't it? In Victoria, red Victoria. Unbelievable. Look, Rob, you've probably had dozens of people saying it won't last, this polling number, and then they keep going up and up and up. I mean, ahead of Labor, that's astonishing. I just think you're probably right. They probably won't. On the other hand, the longer people get used to the idea, I'm with One Nation, the more they commit to it, vocally tell their friends or whatever, it's going to be harder to shift them. And I don't quite see what's going to shift them in the nearly 2 years that we got left with this government. I don't see that.
Well, it's interesting, though. You quite rightly point out that things like what happened with Barnaby, is One Nation ready to lead? I see things where Pauline Hanson has a staffer that she feels like she got forced by the media to fire. Instead of just taking responsibility and saying, I made the decision to fire him, or I made the decision to keep him on, she fired him because of pressure. She has to be able to stand up and not be a victim going forward, doesn't she? She needs to be a leader.
Yeah, well, I do think that was one where she probably was advised by the people around her that was not a smart move, and it wasn't. It wasn't. So
no, but
she might have done
that's fine. But take responsibility for the next step when you're firing him. Take responsibility and don't whinge about it.
No, I think she was trying to. Everyone's probably saying, "Oh my God, a convicted rapist in her office. What the hell was she thinking?" And I think she was trying to put the human dimension there. So she did tell in detail how she went to the man's home and in front of his wife sacked him. So at least she did it personally. She did it in person. Yep. Give her credit for that. The human dimension, I think a lot of people would give her a tick for, even if they think, how could she have employed him in the first place? Give her a tick for what seemed, upfront behaviour and the human touch. I'm pretty sure that Albanese would not have toddled around to the home of a convicted rapist that had hired and say, I'm really, really sorry.
I agree with you. And look, I'm not having a go. My simple point is that I think One Nation needs to change its idea of what it is. Now, it's been very successful, and I'll get your view on why that is. But as they go forward, I feel like they need to take a leadership role rather than a reactionary, rather than a victim mentality.
Oh, I do think that. And it's interesting they're, exploring that more and more. Obviously, they've got a mile of policy still to go through and develop, and they've very short of talent. I mean, let's not forget the short of talent business, right? I mean, you just look, one of the most important things the government does is financial policy. Well, who would write that? They don't have a treasurer. They don't have someone who looks like a treasurer. That's a lot of work, working through tax scales and this and this and this. And you can go through the whole list, foreign affairs and workplace reform, workplace law. Who's going to be the Attorney General? Do they have anyone that knows about the law? All that kind of stuff. So given they don't have that talent, my God, they've done a hell of a lot of good work in that sense.
I don't think the electorate cares about all that. I think they are so disillusioned with Labor and especially the coalition at this point, which at the moment is just saying Labor bad. Okay, but what are you giving me? And I think that's why, and I'm really keen for your thought, what is One Nation tapping into?
No, I totally agree with you, except, of course, if they do get elected, they have to do all these other things.
Of
And you don't know
course.
what those other things will be. So that is going to be, maybe regret after the day. But yes, it's like, I heard someone say today on Sky News, Angus Taylor's doing a brilliant job, and then look at the polls, and they've lost another 3 points, and they're down to 18%. I mean, 18%, and that's after Angus has done this wonderful job and smashed a hopeless budget and shown that it's really on top of the details. And it doesn't seem to answer what One Nation voters are demanding. And I think what they're looking at is a sense. I mean, Pauline Hanson says it often enough, and I think it's true. The sense that they are feeling they're losing their home, the familiar things. Everything's under threat. The country is no longer what they recognise. They want something to come home to now. And she's offering it, like the familiar auntie that's rocked around every Christmas for 30 years that you know of, familiar face, safe, always said the same thing. That's what they want.
I saw your show tonight, and you talked about One Nation a lot and what they're doing, and you had interesting discussions. And one of the things that I feel like I've picked up from you is, and you've just sort of alluded to it there, the Liberal Party aren't taking responsibility for how they're polling. They are having a go at Labor, which is fine. That's sort of their job. Yeah. But they're not looking in the mirror and saying, why aren't we getting those centre voters that will go left or right? If they're going right, they're not going to the coalition. They're going to One Nation. The Libs and the coalition don't seem to be looking at that.
Yeah, well, in part, the Libs have got the same problem as the Labor in a way. They're split as well. I mean, a lot of the things that Pauline Hanson says, the Liberals aren't comfortable. A number of Liberals aren't comfortable with. I mean, Tim Wilson and people like that, they're not comfortable. Anne Ruston. So there's a limitation there for them. People have realised they're not genuine. Otherwise, they would have been saying this for years. They haven't been. Now, what are you going to do about, multiculturalism? Are they going to tear that up? Pauline Hanson says she will. Liberals won't. So they're out of the picture right there. So it's very, very difficult for them. They've been part of the betrayal in terms of how many Hanson voters would see it, the betrayal of their country, the three flags nonsense and all that kind of stuff. They don't like that. And that they want something different. And so the Liberals can congratulate themselves for having smashed Labor over its budget, but it doesn't go to what most One Nation voters are really, really worried about.
I think that's absolutely right. Sky News. A lot of people try to paint Sky News as an echo chamber. But I have noticed you will go against the narrative of other commentators on your own network. Where does that resolve come from you to follow your own beliefs, even if it's against those around you?
One, Dutch background. There's a Dutch word called AVOs. You go your own way. Two, total introvert. So three, an inferiority complex when young, thinking people might hate me. So I cut to the chase. I give them reason to hate me anyway. I'll just do it. No, I just don't know why I'd be in the business if I didn't say what I really thought. I mean, it'd be easier that way. I might have got an Australia Day honour today if I'd done all that.
Yeah.
But, that's just me. I mean, there are other ways to succeed in the business, as you know. That's not a dig at you, but you would know many people succeed in many different ways.
Oh, no, I'll take it as a dig because I'm a bit like you. I say it how it is. And
no, it wasn't. No, I listened to the beginning of your show. I thought, that's not the Rob McKnight that I sort of recall from years and years back. There's a progression here. But then again, I used to work for the Labor Party. So, there you go. But the echo chamber bit, I have to say the other thing, it's not just, there's a difference of opinion. Famously, of course, we had Chris Kenny, who was for the Voice and everyone else against almost. But also on the show, I mean, I see diversity on my show. For all the digs that I get from ABC people, like tonight you saw a former Labor cabinet minister.
Yep.
On Tuesday, I'll have a former Labor chief of staff who's a regular panellist, a Labor chief of staff to the leader, and a former Labor treasurer. I mean, we have more diversity than you would find on any ABC show, and we don't even have a charter obligation to be balanced. So really, if you want, broad spectrum of opinion, you go to Sky.
Well, that's there's a promo line. Look, I want to show people this because it does come back to that you will stand up for what you believe in, and it is something I really admire about you because you went against your own employer when News Corp got on that whole climate bandwagon.
Oh, don't remind me.
I'm going to remind you. Have a look at this highlight. These are the highlight clips, and you'll love this, that The Guardian put together. It was the only place I could find the clip. This is from your editorial on Monday, 11 October, 2021.
Millions of Australian readers would have got a shock this morning when they picked up their Murdoch newspapers. Around the country, these papers were tucked inside a 16-page wraparound like this on global warming. 16 pages of News Corp's global warming propaganda telling them why Australia should cut its emissions now to net zero. Telling them that this will actually be good for us. And that is a shock, not just to me. So let me tell you what I do think about this 16-page supplement. The first of a 5-part campaign this week to persuade you that slashing our emissions, getting ourselves off coal is brilliant. In fact, it's going to make us money. Forget all that stuff we used to say that it would ruin us. This is what I think. It's rubbish. I don't buy it.
Any regrets?
I haven't seen that. Mate, I'm going to click this up. This is good. I tell you what, that wears pretty well in retrospect. I don't think you find many News Corp papers prepared now in this climate to start pushing that nonsense. But there you go, mate. We're all... There's one thing about News Corp. I love it to bits, as you know, and I think the world of Rupert Murdoch and his and one of his sons. They have been very, very good, right? And they do tolerate a debate. They enjoy it. So they've allowed me that. There've been no repercussions at all from that. But I also think that in retrospect, I've probably won that side of the argument by simply living long enough.
Well, if you live long enough, you're eventually right?
I've always said, Rob, the difference between a leftist and a conservative is time. Just give me time.
Well, it's interesting because you just said to me that obviously when you watched me a few years ago, you thought I was obviously pretty left. And it's interesting because I think you do change over time. And I was going to bring up the fact that you worked for the Labor Party. You beat me to it. But there's a thing going on at the moment. I've got a new line about myself that I'm going to start trotting out, you know me in promos. Not too left, not too right, just McKnight. Because I actually don't see myself as a left or right. And I think, and I'm excluding you from this, I think there are a lot of commentators, left or right, that take an accepted narrative and become an echo chamber. And there's a lack of authenticity in what they're saying. I will, in one show here, and look, I'm just doing a show from my garage, but I will have a go at Get Up, and then I'll have a go at something the Libs have done. Or I'll praise something both sides have done. I literally look at it based on the issues. I'm not coming to it saying, well, I'm going to be a hard righter or a hard lefter. And I think there's a lack of, as I say, authenticity in pundits out there who are just trying to tell the audience what they think the audience wants to hear.
Oh, it drives me nuts. Look, it's so true what you say. I mean, for one, this is not quite there, but on topic, but I've always thought that the greatest sin in journalism was not writing for your employer, to please your employer, as most people assume. It is to please your colleagues and your friends, to be in the group, to follow the tribe. And another great sin is to pander to that tribe. Like with Barnaby Joyce, with that interview, I got so many people saying, how dare you, you're a shill for Labor, for the Liberals, you're just turning on them, you've got to get them elected and that's not my job to get them elected. My job is to push my ideas, not that tribe. And as for the Liberals, I mean, after all I've written about them, how could anyone seriously say that I was pro, what they've become? But I think you're absolutely right. I see journalists, particularly with, the Tucker Carlson phenomena, the Candace Owens phenomena, they're seeing people making an absolute mozza, pitching very strongly to people of a certain mindset and never giving them anything that may disturb that mindset, no matter what deep rabbit hole they go through. And I hate it. I see even people I know and used to like and respect do the same in Australia. And that's it. They're cheerleaders. And there aren't that many that you could not say that of.
No, I agree. Andrew, you are a fascinating man. Can I just say, I'm thrilled you came on tonight. So thank you for that. You literally came straight from your show. You got home, you set up your computer and joined us. So
I am home. I'm always home. I don't leave this little hermitage.
I was about to say you did get set up very fast. But seriously, good on you. Thank you for joining us tonight. You are someone I greatly admire.
My wife and I are fans of yours, so I was pleased to do it.
Well, we'll have to get you on again soon, hopefully. So thank you for joining us on McKnight Tonight.
No worries. Talk to you later.
McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. Here comes McKnight Tonight.
I don't care, whatever your politics. I think he speaks his truth, and I admire that on any side of the political spectrum. It's the people who don't that I have a problem with. All right, we're getting late on the night. Let's have a back-end quickie.
It's time for a back-end quickie.
I can't help myself. I'm having so much fun doing the jokes these days. So, yep, instead of a funny video tonight, we're going to have a couple of jokes. Are you ready for them? Are you ready, Amanda?
Oh, yes.
Ready for your fake laughter?
Yeah. I've been warming up.
All right. A blind man walks into a bar and a table and a chair. I was addicted to the hokey pokey, but I turned myself around.
Well done.
To whoever happened to steal my depression meds, I hope you're happy now. That could laugh. I used to have a job crushing Pepsi cans. It was so depressing. So depressing? Soda? Look, hun, it says if you he. Look, hun, if he can't appreciate your fruit humour, it's time to let that man go. Man go. I stuffed up the joke.
Yeah.
I used to have a soap addiction. It's all right. I'm clean now. I'm writing a book about cyclones and tornadoes, but right now, it's just a draft. All right, that's our back-end quickie. Let's get some feedback before we wrap up this sucker. Beck says, couldn't he say, I don't want to answer this? What's that in relation to? The guy in the what? Oh, Barnaby. Sorry. Thank you, Jasmine. I lost my train of thought. Yeah, you're right. He could have. But I actually like what he did, Beck. I like that he took control of it. Matthew says train wreck is an offensive term to the railway people. I haven't got my room shot. Own You're Crazy says, like Trump in his interview with NBC, he stormed out of. Barnaby didn't storm out. Barnaby came back for seconds. Sandy Hill says, hey, Sandy, I would never guess that Bolt worked for Labor. Yeah, it's true, he did. He doesn't hide it. We all have a past. Beck says, I hate biased media. Well, you don't get biased media here, Beck. Not too left, not too right, just McKnight. Matthew says, how do you know it's biased media or just goes against your personal views? Very good question, Matthew. Very good question. And that is very interesting point. Own You're Crazy says, people don't understand that only Queenslanders can vote for Pauline because she is a senator for Queensland. To become PM, she would have to quit and run for a federal parliamentary seat. Absolutely true, and she is considering doing that. Sandy Hill says, wow, saw a side of Andrew I never knew. Yeah, it was a good interview. You can disagree, but still listen and have a good convo. Yeah, I agree, Sandy. Thank you for that. Matthew says, didn't you say last week Thursday jokes only? I don't know that I ever said that. I think that's what the girls were trying to force me into. And You're Crazy says, I didn't consent to this. Andy says, hit us with it. The jokes? Good on you, Andy. Poggy says, me and my crickets are doing just fine. All right, that brings us to the end of this edition of Media McKnight. Of McKnight Tonight. Media McKnight is tomorrow. I've got a little bits of exclusive information for you tomorrow, and we'll see what comes up between now and then. That will hit your YouTube stream at 8 p.m. But of course, if you are a paid member of the YouTube page, you'll get it as soon as it's finished. And we should be finished early tomorrow, shouldn't we, Amanda? So you might get it in the afternoon. All right, I'm Rob McKnight. It's good night from McKnight. I'll see you tomorrow.
Fun, insightful interviews from a washed-up producer with nothing to lose. McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. McKnight Tonight. It's good night.